Bianca, stop! Felix's voice tore through the noise outside the crowded Lagos Mall. Cars were honking, people were talking, traders were shouting prices. But in that moment, it all went quiet. An old woman stood in front of them, her back bent, her wrapper faded and torn. She was barefoot. Her hands shook as she held a small metal plate with a few dirty coins. "My children, please, help me," she begged in a weak, shaky voice. Bianca's eyes turned cold. She looked down at the woman like she was dirt. "Move away from me," Bianca snapped. Before anyone could react, Bianca lifted her leg. Her sharp heels pointed straight at the old woman's side. Gasps filled the air. Phones came out. Someone shouted, "Ah!" She one-kicked the old woman. Felix reached out. "Bianca, don't you?" But it was already too late. Bianca's leg swung forward. And right there, in front of the mall, in front of cameras, bodyguards, shoppers and strangers, Felix, the quiet tech billionaire everyone respected, did something that would shock every single person watching. Bianca used to be poor. She didn't like to remember it. She didn't like to remember the one-room house with a leaking roof. Or how she and her mother used to sleep on the same thin mattress. Or how she used to sell pure water in traffic just to pay school fees. Now she was 23. Now she lived in a mansion. Now she was dating Felix Adesina, the young tech billionaire everyone saw on TV and on social media. And now she had decided she would never, ever look like the poor girl she used to be. "Rose!" Bianca shouted from the living room. "Rose, how many times will I tell you I don't like my juice with ice?" Rose, the househelp, rushed in, breathing fast. "I'm sorry, Ma. I will change it now." Bianca rolled her eyes. "You're always sorry. Do you know how much this juice costs? If you spoil my mood before I go out today, I will tell Felix to sack you." Rose's face fell. "Please, Ma, don't tell Olga." "I'm sorry, Ma." Felix walked in at that moment. He had simple clothes on, plain black t-shirt and jeans, but his watch alone could pay someone's rent for 10 years. His face was calm, but his eyes were sharp. He watched Bianca and Rose quietly. "Bianca," he said gently, "it's just ice in the juice. You could talk to her calmly." Bianca turned to him with a sweet smile, like she was a completely different person. "Babe, I'm only trying to make sure they respect you," she said, touching his arm. "If you're soft with them, they will take you for granted." Felix sighed. "Respect is not the same as fear." She laughed and shook her head. "You're too kind. That's why people try to use you. Don't worry, I will be your lion." But Felix did not laugh. His eyes followed Rose as she walked away, her shoulders shaking slightly. Felix hadn't always been rich. He grew up in a small house too. He used to fix people's phones and computers in front of a small shop. Then he started his own tech company. Years of hard work, late nights, and too many failures finally turned into success. One quiet evening, in a private garden restaurant, he had knelt down in front of Bianca. The fairy lights above them glowed softly. Music played in the background. Bianca wore a golden dress. Her makeup was perfect. Felix held out a small box. Her eyes grew wide. "Felix, what are you doing?" He opened the box. Inside was a beautiful diamond ring that sparkled like a little star. "Bianca," he said, his voice shaking a little, "I know you're not perfect. I'm not perfect either. But I love you. I want to build a life with you. Will you marry me?" Bianca covered her mouth with her hand. For a moment, the old Bianca, the one who used to sell sachet water, almost cried. Then pride stepped in. She stretched out her hand, smiling. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, Felix. Of course I will marry you." The few workers in the restaurant clapped. One waiter smiled happily, but as he brought the cake to the table and almost tripped, Bianca shouted at him sharply, "Are you blind? Do you know what this dress costs?" she snapped. Felix frowned. The waiter bowed his head, saying, "I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry, Ma." Felix looked at Bianca. He said sorry. It was a mistake. She leaned close to his ear and whispered, "Baby, you're a billionaire now. People should be careful around you." Felix looked down at the ring on her finger, and for the first time since he met her, he felt something strange in his chest, a small, cold worry. Days passed. Bianca became louder, sharper, colder. She complained about the cook, the driver, The security guard. If I don't shout, she told Felix, they won't do their work well. That's how poor people are. Felix flinched. Bianca, your mother is not rich. My parents are not rich. Don't talk like that. Bianca folded her arms. So because I was once poor, I should hug every poor person I see? No. Oh. I refuse to go back. Felix rubbed his forehead. Being kind doesn't make you poor. You don't understand, she said, turning away. He watched her walk off, wondering if love was enough. On the day everything changed, Felix wanted to buy a special gift for his mother's birthday. Come with me to the mall, he told Bianca that morning. I want you to help me choose something for Mum. Bianca grinned. Of course. She will be so happy I'm the one choosing it. After all, I will soon be her daughter-in-law. She walked past Rose and said, Clean the sitting room again. The air smells funny. Rose nodded quickly. Yes, Ma. In the car, as the driver took them to the mall, Felix tried again. Bianca, he said softly, can you please be a little nicer to the staff? At least to Rose. She is trying. Bianca rolled her eyes. Baby, you don't know these people. Today they pretend, tomorrow they will steal. I'm protecting you and your money. I don't need protection from poor people, Felix said. I need a partner who has a kind heart. Bianca's lips tightened. Are you saying I'm not kind? She asked slowly. Felix looked at her. Sometimes. Yes. She looked away, hurt and angry. We will talk about this later, she snapped. They arrived at the mall. It was a big place, with shiny glass doors and bright lights. Expensive cars parked outside. People were taking pictures, laughing and shopping. Felix stepped out first, dressed simply as usual. Bianca stepped out next in a tight white dress and high heels that clicked loudly on the tiles. She lifted her chin proudly, looking around like the whole place belonged to her. Some people whispered, Is that not Felix Adesina? Others raised their phones to take pictures. Bianca smiled. She liked the attention. Near the entrance, an old woman sat on a small stool. Her wrapper was faded. Her blouse was torn at one shoulder. Her grey hair was rough. Her hands shook as she held a small metal plate with a few coins. She watched rich people walk past her like she was invisible. Please, help me. Please, my children. She whispered again and again. Nobody listened. Some moved away so she wouldn't touch them. Some pretended not to see her. When she saw Felix and Bianca walking toward the door, she saw hope. They looked rich. Maybe today God had finally sent someone to help. She pulled herself up slowly, holding the wall so she would not fall. She shuffled toward them, her legs weak. Good afternoon, my children, she said softly. Please, help me. My daughter is in trouble. I just need something small, I beg you. Felix looked at her with gentle eyes. He opened his mouth to speak, but Bianca stepped in front of him, blocking his path. Please, Ma, don't be angry, the old woman continued, her eyes filling with tears. I have not eaten since morning. My daughter, don't touch me. Bianca snapped, pulling her dress away. Can't you see we are going somewhere? Do we look like a charity? A few people stopped to watch. The security guards at the door glanced over. Felix touched Bianca's arm. Bianca, calm down. She just needs help. Bianca shook off his hand. Everywhere you go in this country, it's beg, 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 she said loudly. Why can't you people work for your money? The old woman's lips trembled. My child, I worked all my life, she whispered. Please, just... Bianca's eyes flashed. Move away from me, she shouted. The old woman, scared and embarrassed, stepped back, but her weak foot slipped on the edge of a broken tile. Her hand reached out to steady herself, and her fingers brushed the edge of Bianca's white dress. Bianca's face changed. You touched me? She yelled. Felix's heart dropped. Bianca, leave her alone, he said quickly. But Bianca's anger was already boiling. She pulled her leg back, her sharp heel ready. The crowd watched. Phones were lifted. The old woman's eyes widened in fear. Felix reached out his hand toward Bianca, and before anyone could stop her, Bianca swung her leg forward with all her strength, straight at the old woman. Bianca's heel hit the old woman's side with a loud, ugly thud. Ah! The old woman cried. Her small metal plate flew out of her hand. Coins scattered across the tiles, rolling in different directions. A few hit people's shoes. Some rolled under parked cars. The old woman, about 65 to 70, fell sideways to the ground. Her thin body hit the floor hard. Her grey hair scattered across her face. One of her knees scraped the floor and started to bleed slowly. For 1 full second, nobody moved. Then everything exploded. "Jesus!" someone shouted. "Did she just kick that mama?" A woman yelled. Record her face." Another voice shouted. Phones went up like hands in a classroom. People pressed the record button. Some drew closer. Some just stood, mouths open. Felix stood frozen. His brain refused to accept what his eyes had just seen. Bianca, the woman he had planned to marry. Bianca, wearing the ring he bought with love, had just kicked an old, weak woman to the ground in front of him. "Bianca," he whispered, his voice shaking. What did you just do?" Bianca breathed heavily, like she had fought a battle. "She touched me," she snapped, pointing at the old woman. "Do you know how much this dress costs? She is dirty. She could give me disease." The old woman groaned on the floor, holding her side. My waist, she cried weakly. Felix's heart jumped. He ran to her and knelt down beside her. "Mama, I'm so sorry," he said quickly. "Are you hurt? Can you move?" He gently touched her arm. Her skin felt thin and cold. Her hands shook. Somebody from the crowd said, "Oga, take her to hospital, oh. That kick no be small thing." Another voice added, "You for control your woman now. See, wetin she don do." Bianca folded her arms and scoffed. "Oh, please," she said loudly. "All of you like drama. I didn't even kick her that hard. She's just pretending." Felix looked up at her slowly. In that moment, he didn't see her pretty face, her perfect hair, her expensive dress. He saw something else. He saw pride. He saw wickedness. He saw a heart that did not care. "Bianca," he said, his voice low but firm. "Apologize, now." She stared at him like he had insulted her. "Apologize?" she repeated. To her. People around them turned, listening. "Yes," Felix said. "To her. You kicked an old woman. Look at her, she could be your grandmother." Bianca laughed, but it sounded fake and shaky. "Felix, don't embarrass me," she whispered, stepping closer. "People are watching. Remember who you are. You are Felix Adesina. You are a billionaire. People like this are always faking. Tomorrow she will say it was your fault and ask for millions." Felix stared at her, hurt. "Bianca, is that all you can think about right now? Money?" She leaned in, her smile stiff. "Baby, let's go inside," she said. "We can talk later. This is beneath you." She tried to pull his arm, but Felix gently removed his hand from her grip. The old woman groaned again. Felix looked down at her, then back at Bianca. Something inside him broke. The billionaire's decision. Felix slowly stood up. The crowd became quiet, waiting. Even the security guards stopped pretending not to look. Felix reached into his pocket and brought out his handkerchief. He wiped a small drop of blood from the old woman's knee and said softly, "It will be okay, Mama." Then he turned to Bianca. "Give me the ring," he said. Bianca blinked. "What?" Felix's voice was calm. Too calm. "The ring, Bianca," he repeated. "Take it off. Give it back to me." A wave of shock moved through the crowd. Someone whispered, "Ha, he wants to break up with her here." Another voice said, "She deserves it, I beg." Bianca's face changed from anger to confusion. "Felix, stop joking," she said with a nervous laugh. "People are recording. Don't say things you don't mean." "I'm not joking," Felix said. "I cannot marry someone who can kick an old woman and feel nothing. You lack sympathy. You lack kindness. You lack basic human decency." His words were like stones. Bianca's mouth fell open. "Because of this?" She pointed at the woman on the floor. "You want to shame me because of this dirty old beggar?" The crowd gasped again. The old woman's eyes filled with tears. Felix breathed in slowly, fighting his own pain. "Don't call her that again," he said. "She is a human being, just like you, just like me. The only difference is money, and money can disappear." He stretched out his hand. "Bianca." The ring. Her hands began to shake. "You can't do this," she whispered. "You love me." Felix's throat felt tight. He did love her, or at least he thought he did. But now he was seeing her clearly. If this is what love looks like, he said softly, then I don't want it. Tears of anger filled her eyes. You're choosing her over me, Bianca shouted, her voice cracking. A nobody? A street beggar? Felix tried to hold back his own tears. I'm choosing my conscience, he said. Slowly, very slowly, Bianca pulled the ring off her finger. Her hand shook so much that it almost dropped. The diamond that once looked so beautiful under fairy lights now looked cold. She stared at it, then at Felix. You will regret this, she whispered. All these people recording. They will twist this story. They will say you are wicked. They will say you dumped me in public. Felix looked around at the cameras. If they post it, he said, they will also post the part where you kicked an old woman begging for help. He opened his palm. Bianca dropped the ring into his hand. It felt heavy. He curled his fingers around it and closed his eyes for a second. When he opened them, Bianca's face was hard like stone. Fine, she said, lifting her chin. Keep your ring. Keep your poor people. One day, you will remember what you lost. She turned sharply, her heels clicking on the tiles, and walked away, her back stiff. Some people hissed at her as she passed. Others moved out of her way. Felix watched her go, his heart breaking and healing at the same time. He put the ring in his pocket, then turned back to the old woman. Mama, he said softly. Can you stand? She tried. Her hands shook as she pushed herself up. Felix supported her gently, one arm around her back. A young man from the crowd rushed forward. May I help you, sir? The young man said. Together, they helped the woman stand. She winced in pain and held her side. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean to cause trouble. Felix shook his head. You didn't cause anything. Bianca did. I'm the one who is sorry. The security guard at the door stepped closer. Ogre Felix, he said, a little scared. Should we call ambulance? Or you go carry her yourself? Felix thought for a second. I'll take her myself, he said. Please, help us to the car. As they walked toward his black SUV, people moved aside. Some recorded. Some nodded with respect. Some whispered. At least the man gets sense. See, as he die help her. Bianca's car door was still open, but she was nowhere in sight. She had already called a taxi from the other side and left. Felix didn't look for her. He helped the old woman into the back seat, propping a small pillow behind her. Mama, what is your name? He asked gently. My name is Mama Grace, she said weakly. Thank you, my son. God will bless you. Felix sat beside her in the back instead of in front. Driver, take us to St. Luke's Hospital, he said. Fast but careful. As the car began to move, the mall grew smaller behind them. So did Bianca. So did the old life he thought he wanted. At the hospital, doctors checked Mama Grace. They cleaned the wound on her knee and gave her something for the pain. Luckily, nothing was broken, but the kick had made her ribs sore. Felix paid for everything without thinking twice. Later, when she was lying on a small bed in a quiet ward, Felix sat on a chair beside her. The room was simple, white walls, a small fan turning slowly, the smell of medicine in the air. Felix folded his arms and leaned forward. Mama, he said gently, I know today has been hard. But, can you tell me why you were begging outside the mall? You said something about your daughter. Mama Grace's eyes filled with tears. She stared at the ceiling for a moment, then at Felix's kind face. My son, she said, her voice breaking. I was begging to save my only child. My daughter, Amanda. Felix's heart skipped. Amanda, he repeated. What happened to her? Mama Grace's fingers gripped the bedsheet. She is in prison, she whispered, for something she did not do. Her madam lied that she stole from her. Lied that she was flirting with her husband. My Amanda is suffering because nobody listened to a poor househelp. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I was outside that mall, she continued, because the lawyer said if I can bring some money, maybe they will help to bail her. But I have nothing. So I beg. I beg until my legs cannot move again. Her voice shook. Felix felt his chest tighten. A young woman in prison. Accused. Powerless. Just because she was poor. He looked at Mama Grace, then at the door, then back at her again. And right there, a new fire lit up inside him. Where is this prison? He asked quietly. "And who is this, madam?" Mama Grace whispered a name. When Felix heard it, his eyes widened in shock. It was a name he knew, a name connected to his world, a name that meant this story was much bigger than a kick outside a mall. Felix's heart slammed against his chest when Mama Grace whispered the name. He sat back slowly, his breath catching. "You said, who?" he asked again, his voice low. Mama Grace swallowed hard. Her eyes were tired, her voice was weak. "Mrs. Veronica Okafor," she repeated. Felix froze. That was not just any madam. Mrs. Veronica Okafor was one of the wealthiest women in Lagos, a powerful businesswoman, a woman who had hosted Felix at charity events, a woman the media always praised for helping the poor, a woman Bianca idolized. Felix rubbed his forehead, struggling to make sense of it. "Mama, this is serious," he said quietly. "Veronica Okafor is not a small somebody. She is powerful, she has money, she has influence." Mama Grace's eyes filled with tears. "That is why my child is suffering," she whispered. "Nobody listens to a poor woman. Nobody listens to a househelp. They framed my Amanda because they knew I cannot fight them." She covered her face and began to cry softly. Felix's heart clenched. The words she spoke reminded him of something he had always believed. Power without kindness becomes wickedness. He leaned forward, gently touching her hand. "Mama? Please don't cry. I'm here now. You're not alone. But tell me everything from the beginning. I need the full truth." Mama Grace wiped her tears with shaky fingers and began. "My Amanda, she is just 22, Mama Grace said, her voice trembling. "She is a good girl, my son. She finished secondary school, but we had no money for university. So she became a househelp for Mrs. Veronica." Felix knew the story too well. Thousands of young girls took househelp jobs because life had crushed them. Mama Grace continued. "She worked there for almost a year. She washed, she cleaned, she cooked. She did everything they asked. She never complained, even when they treated her like she was invisible." Felix listened carefully. "But then," Mama Grace whispered, "their trouble started the day Mrs. Veronica traveled to Abuja." Mama Grace wiped a tear and continued. "The madam traveled, and her husband, Chief Okafor, stayed at home. That man, that wicked man." She shook her head painfully. "He started disturbing my daughter." Felix's eyebrows lifted. "How do you mean disturbing?" Mama Grace closed her eyes like the memory hurt too much. He would follow her to the kitchen, calling her sweet names. He would hold her hand when she served food. He even tried to enter her room one night. Felix felt anger rising inside him. "What did Amanda do?" he asked. "She pushed him out," Mama Grace said quickly. "She told him she would scream. She begged him to leave her alone. But instead of being ashamed, he became angry." Felix clenched his fists. Of course, a rich man caught doing evil would never let a poor househelp ruin his image. When Madam came back, Mama Grace continued, the husband lied first. He told her that Amanda was the one seducing him. Felix's eyes widened. "No. Yes." Mama Grace nodded. "He made it look like my daughter was chasing him. At first, Madam didn't believe him. But once a rich person starts lying, they will keep lying." Felix's breathing got heavier. "And the next week," Mama Grace added, her voice breaking, "something went missing. Madam's gold necklace. It was the husband who took it, but he told his wife that he saw Amanda near the drawer." Felix's stomach twisted. "So she blamed your daughter?" "Yes," Mama Grace whispered. "She fired her that same day. And before Amanda could even pack her things, police came. Madam told them Amanda stole the necklace and was planning to run away." Felix shut his eyes. The picture was clear. A girl with no power. A rich couple with a reputation to protect. A lie big enough to destroy a life. They took her to the station. Mama Grace continued shakily. "And now she has been in prison for almost 3 months. No trial, no bail, nothing." She sniffed and held her chest. "My son, I have been begging since then. I go to markets, I go to streets, I stand in front of malls. Anything just to gather little money to hire a lawyer. That is why I was outside that mall when your fiancée." Her voice trailed off. Felix felt his throat tighten. And then he realized something. If Bianca hadn't kicked this old woman, if he hadn't stopped his day to help her, he would never have known about Amanda. He looked at Mama Grace and said softly, Mama, I am so sorry you both suffered like this. I didn't know. She shook her head. It is not your fault, my son. Life is just wicked. Felix took a deep breath. No, he said slowly. People are wicked, but I won't stand and watch it happen. Mama Grace looked at him, confused. What do you mean? Felix stood up gently, his eyes sharp with new determination. Mama, I will get your daughter out of that prison. Mama Grace gasped. What? My son, are you sure? This matter is big, oh. This woman is powerful. I'm more powerful, Felix said quietly. But the difference is, I don't use my power to destroy people. I use it to help them. Mama Grace covered her mouth as tears rolled down her cheeks. God bless you, she whispered. God bless your children. God bless your future. Felix swallowed hard and touched her shoulder. Mama, rest. Eat something when the nurse brings food. I will handle the rest. He stepped outside the room to catch his breath. Felix pulled out his phone. His hands shook not with fear, but with anger. First, he called his personal assistant, Tade. Book a legal team to Ikoyi prison immediately, Felix said. I need a full report on all female detainees, especially anyone named Amanda. He paused, then walked back into the room. Mama, what is her full name? Amanda Grace Okoro, she whispered. Felix nodded. He repeated the full name into the phone. His tone was sharp, cold, commanding. Find her. Today. Tade replied. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Felix hung up. But he wasn't done. He opened his contacts again and tapped another name. His lawyer. Prepare emergency bail documents, he ordered, and call the commissioner of police. Tell him Felix Adeshina wants a meeting in the next 2 hours. Then he made another call to a well-known investigative journalist. I have a story that will shake Lagos, Felix said. The journalist eagerly replied, Sir, I am ready. Felix ended the call. A calm fire burned inside him. He wasn't just going to free Amanda. He was going to expose everything. Meanwhile, Bianca was burning with rage. Across town, in a taxi stuck in traffic, Bianca sat angrily with her arms folded. Her makeup was smudged. Her eyes were red. Her pride had been wounded. How dare he embarrass me? She hissed out loud. The taxi driver glanced at her through the mirror, but said nothing. Bianca's jaw tightened. I will not lose Felix, she whispered to herself. I will not let a dirty old beggar ruin my life. She pulled out her phone and dialed a number. Hello? Auntie Veronica, I need to see you. It is urgent. Someone wants to destroy you. A dangerous smile appeared on her lips. And he has your old househelp's name in his mouth. Back at the hospital, Felix walked back into Mama Grace's room. She looked at him with hope. Mama, he said softly, I just made the calls. We will get your daughter out. Her eyes filled instantly with tears. But before she could speak, Felix's phone started ringing. He looked at the screen. His lawyer. Felix answered. Yes, barrister? A heavy pause. Then the lawyer said, Sir, we have a problem. Felix's heart dropped. What happened? He asked. The lawyer sighed. Sir, Amanda was moved from regular custody yesterday. Felix blinked. Moved where? The lawyer's voice was quiet but urgent. To solitary confinement. Felix shot to his feet. What? Why? We don't know yet, the lawyer said. But we just found out. Her condition inside there is very bad. Felix felt cold fear crawl up his spine. And then, the lawyer said the words that made Felix's blood freeze. Sir, if we don't reach her soon, she may not survive the week. Felix felt the world tilt. He gripped the edge of the hospital chair, as the lawyer's words echoed in his ears like thunder. Sir, if we don't reach her soon, she may not survive the week. For a moment, he couldn't breathe. He stared at Mama Grace, this fragile, heartbroken mother, lying weakly on the hospital bed, completely unaware of the new danger her daughter was facing. Felix swallowed hard. Barrister, he said, forcing his voice to stay steady. I'm coming to the station right now. Have all the documents ready? Yes, sir, the lawyer replied. Felix hung up and turned to Mama Grace. He didn't want to scare her. He didn't want to tell her the part that would break her completely. Not yet. Sighed. Mama, he said softly. I need to go and make sure everything is ready for Amanda's release. Rest here. I'll come back soon. With her. Mama Grace nodded weakly. "Thank you, my son," she whispered. "God will guide you." Felix forced a small smile, even though inside him a storm was raging. As Felix hurried out of the hospital, he dialed Tade again. "Tade, meet me with the car in front. We are leaving now, and book a security team." "Yes, sir," Tade said quickly. Felix pushed open the hospital door, and the hot Lagos sun hit his face. But before he could take another step, his phone buzzed again. This time, it was an unknown number. He almost ignored it, but something made him answer. "Hello?" A woman's voice, sharp, proud, and dripping with anger, came through the phone. "So, you think you can fight me?" Felix stopped walking. "Who is this?" he asked coldly. "You know who I am," the woman hissed. "I am Veronica Okafor, the woman you're trying to embarrass." Felix's jaw tightened. "Good," he said. "Then I don't need to introduce myself. Release Amanda Grace immediately." Veronica laughed a loud, insulting laugh. "You must be joking. That girl is a thief. And she flirted with my husband." "She is innocent," Felix said firmly. "Your husband lied." There was silence. Then a slow, dangerous voice replied, "You don't know what you're talking about. That househelp is rotten. She stole from me. I have proof." "Where is the proof?" Felix asked. "None of your business." Felix inhaled deeply. "Mrs. Veronica," he said, "I know powerful people. I am not afraid of you. If you do not release Amanda, I will drag this story to the press. I will make sure everyone sees the truth." But instead of sounding scared, Veronica's voice grew cold. "You think I'm afraid of you? I have been in this game before you were born." Then she added one sentence that made Felix's heart stop. "And if you keep pushing me, you may just discover that your beloved Amanda is no longer alive." Felix froze. "What do you mean?" he whispered. "Oh, Mr. Billionaire," Veronica said mockingly. "Prison is a dangerous place. Accidents happen. Fights happen. People disappear. Especially househelps who don't know their place." Felix's grip on the phone tightened until his knuckles turned white. "You wouldn't dare," he whispered. "I already have," she replied calmly. "Ask the prison wardens. They know whose orders they follow." The line went dead. Felix stood still, his body shaking with a mixture of fear and fury. This was no longer a simple case. This was war. Tade pulled up with the car, panting. "Ogre, what's happening?" Felix didn't answer. He entered the car with eyes that looked like fire. "Drive to Ikoyi prison," Felix said. "And don't stop for anything." Tade nodded and stepped on the accelerator. Traffic rushed by, buildings blurred. The world looked smaller and darker. Felix could only think of one person. Amanda. A girl he hadn't met, yet suddenly felt responsible for. A girl who was suffering in the shadows, because nobody had ever stood for her. A girl who might not survive the week. Just then, Felix's phone buzzed again. This time, it was the investigative journalist he had called earlier. "Sir, I have started my checks." And, the journalist paused. "The story of Amanda is worse than you think." Felix closed his eyes briefly. "Tell me." "I spoke to a retired worker from the Okafor house," the journalist said. "She said the husband has a history of harassing househelps. 3 girls left in the last 2 years because of him." Felix's eyes burned. "Why didn't anyone report it?" he asked. "Because the girls were poor," the journalist replied. "Nobody listens to househelps. And Okafor is powerful. He paid people to keep quiet." Felix clenched his jaw. "What about the necklace she was accused of stealing?" he asked. The journalist chuckled bitterly. "Veronica wore that same necklace at a charity event 2 weeks ago." "There are pictures." Felix sat up straight. "What? Are you sure?" "Very sure. I'm sending the photos now." Felix's phone beeped. He opened the pictures. It was the same gold necklace, clear, visible, shining on Veronica's neck. The same necklace she claimed Amanda stole. Felix shook with anger. "This is enough evidence to reopen the case," he said. "Yes," the journalist replied. "But Mrs. Veronica will fight dirty." "I'm ready," Felix said. The black SUV screeched to a stop in front of Ikoyi prison. Armed guards stood at the gate. A tall officer stepped forward. "Good evening, sir. How can we help?" "I want to see inmate Amanda Grace Okoro," Felix said sharply. "Now." The officer shifted nervously. "Sir, you cannot enter without—" Felix brought out his ID. The officer gulped. "Okay, sir, let me check." But we were told not to allow visitors for that inmate. Felix stiffened. By who? He asked. The officer hesitated. Instructions from higher authority. Felix stepped closer. His voice became cold as steel. Officer, if anything happens to Amanda before I see her, you will answer to the full weight of the law. Now, open the gate. The officer swallowed hard, nodded quickly, and signaled to the others. The gate slowly opened. As Felix walked inside, the air grew heavier. Dark walls, narrow corridors, distant screams, the smell of sweat and fear. Felix's heart pounded as he followed the officer through winding hallways. Finally, they stopped at a door with a metal bar. The officer looked nervous. Sir, she is inside. Felix looked at him. Open it. The officer unlocked the door. The metal door creaked loudly as it swung open, and the sight inside made Felix take a step back. The cell was small, dark, cold, and sitting in the corner, hugging her knees tightly, was a girl. Her clothes were torn. Her skin was bruised. Her hair was messy. Her face was pale, and her eyes, big, scared and tired, lifted slowly toward the door when she heard it open. Felix felt his chest tighten painfully. Amanda, he whispered. Her lips parted slightly. She tried to stand, but her legs trembled, and she collapsed against the wall. Felix rushed forward. No, don't move, he said gently. You're safe now. Amanda stared at him with confusion. Who are you? She whispered. Felix swallowed hard. A friend, he said. Someone who believes you. Amanda blinked slowly, and a single tear rolled down her cheek. Then she whispered something that broke Felix's heart completely. Please, don't let them kill me. Felix froze. Kill you? He repeated. Amanda nodded weakly. They said, if I open my mouth again, I won't see tomorrow. Before Felix could speak, a loud alarm suddenly rang through the prison halls. We. The officer beside him jumped. Sir, we have to leave. Something is happening. The prisoners are reacting. We need to go. Felix's heart raced. Someone was trying to stop him. Someone was trying to silence the truth. He grabbed Amanda gently and lifted her into his arms. Her head rested on his shoulder. Her breathing was weak. Don't worry, Felix whispered. I've got you. Nobody will hurt you again. But just as he turned to leave the cell, a shadow stepped into the hallway. A figure he recognized. A voice he never wanted to hear again. Well, the man said with a smirk. So you're the billionaire causing trouble in my prison. It was Chief Okafor. Amanda trembled in Felix's arms, and Chief Okafor smiled dangerously. You should have minded your business. Chief Okafor stepped forward, blocking the hallway with a wicked smile stretching across his face. Felix tightened his hold on Amanda, whose weak arms clung to his shirt like a child holding on to life itself. Her body trembled. Her breathing was shallow. Tears fell silently from her eyes. Chief Okafor chuckled. So, billionaire, he sneered, you think you can walk into my prison and take my property? Felix stared at him, shocked. You're what? He asked sharply. Chief Okafor shrugged. Amanda belongs to me. She wanted me. She begged me. I was helping her until she decided to cause trouble. Amanda shook her head weakly. No, I never. Felix held her closer. You're a liar, Felix said coldly. You tormented her. You lied about theft. You used your power to destroy her life. Chief Okafor's smile faded. You talk too much, boy. He raised his hand, and 4 prison guards stepped into view behind him. Felix froze. All of you, Chief Okafor commanded. Take that girl from him. Make sure she disappears before morning. Amanda gasped. Felix stepped back, fire rising inside him. Don't you dare, he said. Chief Okafor smirked. You're alone, billionaire. No cameras, no audience, no protection. Nobody will believe your side. But just then, a loud voice thundered down the hallway. Step away from them. Everyone turned. It was the commissioner of police, followed by 6 uniformed officers, armed and fierce. Behind him was Felix's lawyer, and the investigative journalist, and 2 human rights activists Felix had secretly called on the way. The commissioner's voice was strong. Chief Okafor, you are under arrest for abuse of power, sexual harassment, false imprisonment, and attempted murder. Chief Okafor's mouth fell open. What? You can't. 2 officers grabbed him. "You have no right," he shouted. "Yes, we do," the commissioner replied coldly. "The evidence against you is overwhelming." Felix looked at the journalist, who nodded and whispered, "I leaked the necklace pictures. The public is already on fire." The lawyer added, "And your mother's charity group is here too. They're waiting outside. This man is finished." Chief Okafor struggled, shouting like a madman, "Veronica will destroy all of you. My wife will." But another officer stepped forward. "Actually," he said, "your wife has been arrested too. She tried to bribe the station earlier today. Everything is on camera." Chief Okafor froze. His face went pale. He slumped like a deflated balloon as the officers dragged him away. Felix carried Amanda through the hallway. The officers cleared the path. When they stepped outside the prison gates, hundreds of people were already gathered, bloggers, reporters, activists, and normal citizens who had seen the viral video of the necklace and Veronica's lies. Cameras flashed. People clapped. Some cried. Some held signs saying, "Free Amanda. Justice for househelps." Mama Grace was brought there in a wheelchair by hospital staff. When she saw Felix carrying her daughter, she burst into tears. "Amanda, my child." Felix lowered Amanda gently into her mother's arms. The girl sobbed weakly. "Mama, I thought I would never see you again." Mama Grace kissed her forehead and held her face. "My daughter, God has answered us." Felix stepped back, his heart soft. But then Amanda turned to him, her eyes glassy. Why did you help me?" she whispered. "You don't know me." Felix smiled gently. "Because someone finally had to do the right thing." Amanda's tears flowed again. Days passed. Amanda stayed in the hospital, recovering slowly. Her ribs healed. Her weight returned. Her smile returned. Felix came every day, bringing food, gifts, and sometimes books. At first, Amanda thought he was only being kind. But soon, she noticed something. The way he looked at her, the way he listened to her, the way he smiled when she talked. And her heart, small, delicate, but brave, felt something warm whenever he walked into the room. Mama Grace noticed too. One day, she whispered to Amanda with a teasing smile, "My daughter, that man looks at you as if you are the air he breathes." Amanda covered her face shyly. "Mama, stop." Felix overheard and blushed so hard he nearly walked into the door. Meanwhile, Bianca was losing everything. The video of her kicking Mama Grace went viral. People unfollowed her. Brands cancelled her. Her influencer friends blocked her. Even shops refused to let her in. She tried to call Felix. He never answered. She tried to apologize online. Nobody believed her. Her pride destroyed her life. And for the first time, she understood what it meant to be truly alone. 3 weeks later, Amanda stood outside the hospital, wearing new clothes Felix bought for her. She looked healthier, softer, happier. Felix approached her slowly, holding a bouquet of white flowers. "Are you ready to go home?" he asked. Amanda smiled gently. "Home?" she asked. "Where is home?" Felix swallowed nervously. "With me," he whispered. Amanda froze, her cheeks turning pink. "Me?" Felix nodded. "I don't want to rush you. I know you've suffered. I know you're healing. But, Amanda, you came into my life like a quiet miracle. First your mother changed me. Then you showed me what kindness really looks like." Amanda's eyes shined with tears. "You want me?" she whispered. Felix stepped closer. "Yes," he said softly. "Not because you need saving, but because my heart chooses you." Amanda's breath shook. Then Felix pulled a small box from his pocket. Her eyes widened. "No, Felix," she stammered. He knelt gently on one knee. Mama Grace gasped loudly from behind. Felix opened the box slowly, revealing the very ring he took from Bianca. But now, it looked brighter, softer, kinder. "Amanda Grace," he said warmly. "For the first time in my life, I've found someone who teaches me what real love looks like. Someone gentle, someone brave, someone who forgives even the world that hurt her. Will you let me walk your healing journey with you? Will you marry me?" Amanda covered her mouth with both hands. Then she burst into tears. "Yes," she whispered. "Felix, yes, I will." The crowd outside the hospital clapped. Mama Grace cried like a newborn baby. Even nurses wiped their eyes. Felix stood, slipping the ring onto Amanda's finger. He hugged her carefully, then tighter when she hugged him back. For the first time in months, Amanda felt safe, and for the first time in years, Felix felt whole. Months later, Felix and Amanda got married in a simple but beautiful ceremony. Mama Grace sat in the front row, wearing new clothes Felix bought for her. She looked younger, happier, stronger. Felix never forgot the woman who changed his heart. Amanda started a foundation to help househelps who were abused or wrongly accused. Felix funded it. Mama Grace managed the food donations, and many young girls found safety and hope there. Bianca, somewhere far away, watched the wedding video online and broke down crying. She had lost everything because she never learned the one thing that saved Amanda: kindness. Amanda walked into Felix's life as a stranger, but she became the woman who healed him. Felix helped her escape darkness, but she became the woman who brought light into his life. Together, they built a home where compassion was the foundation, and love was the blessing that never failed. Thanks for watching. Let us know where you are watching from. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for interesting stories.